Hi everyone, hope you are all hale and healthy in a good environment. Today we are going to discuss the important topic that is the largest endocrine gland in our body, that is the thyroid gland. So, getting into the topic, what is this thyroid gland? It is the largest endocrine gland and it is situated in the front and in the low sides of the neck. So functions of thyroid gland, generally it regulates basal metabolic rate. It also promotes growth. It also helps in carbohydrate fat metabolism and also plays an important role in calcium metabolism. So where is this thyroid gland situated? This thyroid gland is situated in the front of the neck along the sides also it is present. So along the sides the structure present are the lobes and in the center it is the isthmus which connects the lobes. So this lobes will extend from the thyroid cartilage of larynx to the fourth or fifth tracheal rings. And this isthmus will extend from second to fourth tracheal rings. Anteriorly, this is the extent. Posteriorly, it extends from C5, C6, C7 and T1 vertebra. This is the extent and the situation of thyroid gland. So what is the dimension? The lobes measures about 5 centimeter length, 2.5 centimeter breadth and 2.5 centimeter width. And the isthmus that measures alone 1.2 centimeter into 1.2 centimeter length and breadth. So how much it weighs? The gland weighs about 25 grams. The gland is larger in females than in males. It also enlarges in size during pregnancy and menstruation. As the metabolism gets increased during this time, the gland gets enlarged to produce large secretion. So this is the dimensions and weights of the thyroid gland. So coming to the coverings of the thyroid gland, there are two coverings, true capsule and false capsule. True capsule is nothing but the connective tissue at the periphery is condensed to form the true capsule. This is the true capsule. Under the true capsule, a deep venous plexus, capillary plexus is present. And in comparison with prostate under the true capsule, there is a presence of venous plexus. The false capsule is derived from pretracheal layer of deep fascia. We will see it in the next diagram. So this capsule, false capsule is thin along the posterior border and anterior border it is thick and forms the suspensory ligament of Berry, which connects the gland to the cricoid cartilage. So we will see what is it. See, this is the thyroid gland. The gland is cut open and seen. Here it is the false capsule. False capsule is thin along the posterior border. In the anterior border, it is thick and forms the suspensory ligament of Berry, where this gland, the suspensory ligament connects the gland to the cricoid cartilage. And inside there is a true capsule. Inside the true capsule, there is a presence of deep capillary plexus or venous plexus. So this is about the capsules or coverings of the thyroid gland. Coming to the parts or relations of thyroid gland. So first we have a look at the parts of a lobe. The lobe is conical in shape and it has an apex, base and three surfaces, that is lateral surface, medial surface and posterolateral surface, two borders, anterior border and posterior border. We will see one by one. First apex and base. So this is the apex and this is the base. Hope so you all know this is the apex and this is the base. So the apex in superiorly it is restricted by the attachment to the thyroid line. Sternothyroid to the oblique line of thyroid cartilage. In this oblique line they are attached, the upper limit. So and this apex will be related to the superior thyroid artery along with the external laryngeal nerve. In the upcoming slides, I will show you the picture where the superior thyroid artery and external laryngeal nerve enters the gland. So it will be easy for you to remember the relations of the apex. So the base is at the level of 4th or 5th tracheal ring and it is related to inferior thyroid artery and recurrent laryngeal nerve. These are the relations of apex and base. Coming to the surfaces, so the lateral surface, first one is the lateral surface. See, this is the thyroid gland. This red color structure is the thyroid gland and The lateral surface will be related to the muscles behind it. See, sternohyoid, sternothyroid. In such a way, muscles are present. So lateral surface is related to muscle. The relations of medial surface will be in the order of 2. So what is the 2? There will be 2 tubes. One will be the trachea, another will be the esophagus, and there will be 2 muscles. One will be the inferior constrictor muscle of the pharynx and the cricothyroid muscle. And 2 nerves, one will be the external laryngeal nerve and the other will be the recurrent laryngeal nerve. And the posterior posterolateral surface is also related to the carotid sheath and the common carotid artery. This is the relation. You'll be able to appreciate the posterior relation, which means the medial surface is related to inferior constrictor muscle and cricothyroid muscle. In this picture, you'll be able to appreciate it. These are the relations or surfaces of the thyroid cartilage. So borders, 2 borders, anterior border and posterior border. Here you'll be able to well appreciate the anterior and posterior border. This is the anterior border, this is the posterior border. Anterior border is related to anterior branch of superior thyroid artery. That also you'll be able to appreciate when we were discussing the blood supply of thyroid gland. Okay, so this is the anterior border and this is the posterior border. Posterior border is related to inferior thyroid artery and anastomosis of superior branch from superior thyroid and inferior thyroid, and it is also related to parathyroid glands on both sides, and on the left side there will be the presence of thoracic duct. So these are the relations about lobes of the thyroid gland. Coming to the isthmus, isthmus connects the lower part of 2 lobes. It has 2 surfaces and 2 borders. Surfaces will be anterior and posterior, borders superior and inferior border. So you'll be able to appreciate here. This is the isthmus and so 2 surfaces, anterior surface behind posterior and upper border, so superior border and inferior border. So the anterior surface will be related to the muscle, will be related to the muscles, the first muscle, sternothyroid and sternohyoid along with anterior jugular vein. And the posterior surface will be related with the tracheal rings, as trachea is present here. And the superior border or upper border will be separating or they'll be relating to the anterior branches of superior thyroid artery. At the lower border, inferior thyroid vein will leave the gland at the lower border of the isthmus of thyroid. So the relations are a bit confusing. When you learn the blood vessels and blood supply of the thyroid gland, you'll be well able to appreciate the relations of this thyroid gland. So coming to the blood supply, first one will be arterial supply. So 4 arteries are supplying here: superior thyroid artery, inferior thyroid artery, lowest thyroid artery and accessory thyroid artery. The superior thyroid artery, see here, this is the arch of aorta from the left ventricle ascending it, and when it comes to the aorta, ascending aorta, arch of aorta, descending aorta. From the arch of aorta, we have the branch common carotid artery. From the common carotid artery, divides into internal and external. The first branch of this external carotid artery is the superior thyroid artery. Okay, from here the superior thyroid artery, so it runs downwards and forwards in intimate relationship with the external laryngeal nerve. So here you will be able to appreciate that at the apex of the thyroid gland lobes, it is related to superior thyroid artery and external laryngeal nerve. Okay. So this superior thyroid artery, then after giving branches to the nearby structures, it pierces the false capsule or pretracheal fascia and reaches the upper pole of the gland. This is the upper pole of the gland. After reaching the upper pole, the artery divides into anterior and posterior divisions. So the anterior branch descends on the anterior border of the lobe. This is why there I was saying anterior border is related to superior thyroid artery. And it continues along the upper border and it meets the artery on the other side and gets anastomosed at the isthmus, at the middle of the isthmus. What happens to the posterior branch? The posterior branch will descend on the posterior lobe and there will be what is it? They'll be anastomosing with the ascending branch of inferior thyroid artery. Inferior thyroid artery. So coming to inferior thyroid artery, that is the branch from thyrocervical trunk. This thyrocervical trunk is a branch from brachiocephalic artery. So brachiocephalic artery arises from arch of aorta. So this inferior thyroid artery, it runs upwards, then medially, and then finally downwards, which means it moves along the posterior surface, and it is related to the recurrent laryngeal nerve. See, this is the recurrent laryngeal nerve. The recurrent laryngeal nerve at its caudal part, at its proximal part, it is away from the nerve. But here it is initially near the external laryngeal nerve. Okay. So this is how it goes. And this inferior thyroid artery, after going through the posterior border, they will be dividing into 4 to 5 glandular branches. In that, one ascending branch will be anastomosing with the posterior branch of superior thyroid artery. This is what happens. Then there will be some arteries like accessory thyroid artery and also lowest thyroid artery. The lowest thyroid artery is a direct branch from arch of aorta, and it is also called thyroidema artery. And accessory thyroid arteries may be branched from tracheal and esophageal arteries. Hope so you understood arterial supply. Let me switch over to venous drainage. 4 veins are draining from the thyroid. One will be superior thyroid vein, second middle thyroid, third inferior thyroid, and fourth vein of thyroid or vein of Kocher. So we'll see it. So superior thyroid vein will be draining the upper pole of the gland, and they'll be draining into internal jugular vein. Middle thyroid vein will be draining the middle part of the gland, and they'll also be draining directly into internal jugular vein. And the inferior thyroid vein emerges at the lower border of the isthmus. See here, lower border of the isthmus, and they form a plexus in front of the trachea, and they drain directly into left brachiocephalic vein. And there is a fourth vein called vein of Kocher. This vein of Kocher drains between the middle thyroid vein and inferior thyroid vein, and then finally drains into the internal jugular vein. Okay, this is what the venous drainage of thyroid gland. Next, lymphatic drainage. So lymphatic drainage, it is of two things. One will be from upper part, other will be from the lower part. From the upper part of the gland, they will be reaching the upper deep cervical group of lymph nodes. From the lower part of the gland, they will be reaching the lower deep group of cervical lymph nodes. Okay, lymph from the upper part will be draining to the upper deep group through pre-laryngeal nodes. From the lower part will be draining through pretracheal or paratracheal lymph nodes. So lymphatic drainage is simple. So nerve supply, mainly from middle cervical ganglion, but partly they'll be receiving from superior and inferior cervical ganglion. These are vasoconstrictor nerves. I hope you all understood till this, and here we end with the gross anatomy of thyroid gland. So getting to the microscopic anatomy, it is the histology of thyroid gland. It is made up of 2 types of cells. One will be the follicular cells, another will be the parafollicular cells. So this follicular cells secrete triiodothyronine or tetraiodothyronine. We call it as T3 and T4 or thyroxine. So these follicular cells will be columnar when they are secreting, and they will be cuboidal when they are in resting state. So these follicular cells are present along the linings of the gland. So parafollicular cells are present in between the follicular cells. So they will be secreting calcitonin. This calcitonin will have antagonistic effect of parathormone. This is about microscopic anatomy. So we'll see here, this is the follicular cells, and in between this is the follicular cells, and in between the follicular cells we have the parafollicular cells. So the lining epithelium will be the follicular cells. They will be cuboidal or columnar depending on the state in which they are, resting state or active state. So here we end up with the microscopic anatomy. Coming to developmental anatomy or embryology of thyroid gland. So to understand this, also you must be clear about pharyngeal arches. So leaving behind the pharyngeal arches, We'll go here with the pharyngeal arch. So here, after the development of pharynx, there is the development of thyroid diverticulum. Thyroid diverticulum is what to say? It is a median endodermal lining. So this is the median endoderm. So from the median endodermal thyroid diverticulum, thyroid gland is developing. What happens is this thyroid diverticulum will enlarge to form the thyroglossal duct. So initial part or proximal part of this duct is represented as foramen cecum of tongue, and the caudal part or lower end will be enlarging to form the thyroid gland. As soon as the gland forms, this duct will get atrophied, which means they'll be disappeared. Okay, so this the gland finally the gland develops. So to sum up for completion sake, development is included here. So development and embryology will be doing in a separate video and we'll be posting it for you. So here to say you that how thyroid gland develops, initially they'll be developing from median endodermal thyroid diverticulum. So from there thyroglossal duct develops, caudal end of the duct will be enlarging to form the gland. Okay, this is how thyroid gland is formed and the duct will be disappearing at the end. Okay. Why should a healthcare professional learn it? So what are the clinical applications? So the secretions here or the hormones, so they'll be either in higher amount or in lower amount. So higher amount hyperthyroidism, lower amount hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism will cause cretinism in infants and myxedema in adults. So they'll be causing mental retardation and etc. And one more thing, we have to know about the cancer or carcinoma of the glands. So when there is a malignant growth of this thyroid gland, they'll be invading and eroding the nearby structures. So this should be treated properly, and pressure symptoms and nerve symptoms are common in this carcinoma of the glands. And also during removal of thyroid during hyperthyroidism, thyroidectomy is done. At that time, true capsule may also be removed. And one more thing, when thyroidectomy is done, the superior thyroid artery is ligated near its origin, because external laryngeal nerve is in contact, so both will be ligated. Here, inferior thyroid artery will be ligated at the caudal end, because at that end only they are related with the recurrent laryngeal nerve. This is what happens in subtotal thyroidectomy. Hope so you understood everything. So hope so you understood everything. Thank you. Have a nice day.